Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm here to talk about The Flash, episode 302, titled Paradox, which premiered Tuesday, October 11th, 2016 on the CW. Guys, it's quite an interesting episode, but before we start, just a quick reminder, for just my 3 rules for these videos, I am recording this an hour after the episode has ended for me as I watch it for the first time. It's always going to be the case with my recordings. Second, I'm recording all my thoughts and opinions about the episode before any other outside influences get to me. So this is my genuine first impression of this new episode of 302. And also, only thing that belongs to me in this video is all the thoughts and opinions that I have. For any photos I use in the video, they aren't my own. I do edit them through Photoshop, but I get all the photos from Google just so I can make these videos look more visually appealing, since most of the time you're just going to hear my voice. So there's that, and also no money's being made off this. It's just for the fun of it. Just also, it's cool for me to look back and see what I first thought about episodes and stuff like that, because our thoughts do change over time as we're exposed to more outlooks and other perceptions. So with that said, guys, 10-minute clock to get it started, and let's begin. So something new that we learned in this episode, or pretty much what has changed in timeline number 3, I should say. Timeline 1 being the original one that we have known for season 1 and season 2. Timeline 2 was the Flashpoint one. And now timeline 3 is this one, Barry's attempt to reset the timeline. So what has changed? Iris is mad at Joe because of the fact that he kept Francine, the fact that she's alive, out. Iris wasn't aware of it. So not sure if Francine still died in this timeline, but the fact that Joe lied and said that she was dead when she wasn't is what Iris is so mad about for Joe, which is why they're at the whole we're not speaking phase that Wally talks about. So there is that. For Cisco, though, it's a really huge difference, all because of the fact that he is grieving over the death of his brother Dante, which happened a few months previously due to a drunk driver accident. And Cisco is furious with Barry in particular because Barry before then kept refusing to go back and change the timeline to save Dante. Also, Cisco really has no humor. Doesn't really name any of the metahumans. He's pretty much a straightforward type of guy. We also find out that he has actually created these gauntlets to use for his own suit to help utilize his powers better, to the point that we actually see more of what Reverb was able to do now through Cisco. So he was able to... we kind of saw a preview of it in episode 222 with him creating this pulse-like power through his hands. And he was able to use the gauntlets to better control that in this episode. So there's that. With Caitlin, it doesn't look like anything has changed for her. Even Barry comments on that fact. But actually, it looks like Caitlin has come into her Killer Frost powers. And it seems like no one is aware of it, because we see her hand becoming a bit frosted over as she looks worriedly at it at the very end. So there's that change for Caitlin. Otherwise, she still seems to be a scientist. And for Wally, he seems to be the only one really excited for Barry and his victories, and really trying to support what Barry is trying to do. But it doesn't look like Wally has any speed, so I guess that's the major difference. But then Wally number 1 didn't really have any speed either, though. But he was hit by the particle accelerator, so it begs the question, are we going to see that later on? Anyways, we do find out, though, since we do see Felicity in this episode, we do find out through her, though, that one change in the Arrowverse that we learn is that John Diggle has a son, Little John, not daughter, Little Sarah. So that's a huge difference in itself, and even Barry reacts to that very different. It's like no. So yeah, that was pretty funny too. And also in this episode, we meet Julian Albert, played by Tom Felton, and Julian Albert is the metahuman specialist that was tasked to be Barry's CSI partner. Although it seems like they do not like it at all, the arrangement whatsoever. We find out that Julian doesn't trust Barry, and he feels like he doesn't. A lot of the times, Julian brushes off Barry's offer to help, because he doesn't think Barry is, I think, competent enough to do the work. So there's definitely a lot of tension through there, not just on that whole trust front, or maybe that could be the whole reason too, but there's that. Also, we do touch up on a bit of West Allen in the form that Barry and Iris do talk about where things have left off for them, and we actually get a kiss from them, and hopefully Barry doesn't erase the existence of that kiss like he's done the 2 previous times. So there's that. Seems to be are looking up for them in the relationship aspect, so there's that. Now, moving on to the episode in general, we meet Dr. Alchemy, the crazy voice that was trying to get to Edward Claris at the end of the previous episode, and we find that Dr. Alchemy has donned on this pretty crazy mask that has me thinking of Brother Blood from Arrow Season 2. But anyways, Dr. Alchemy has this new mission to prepare this world and help people reach their true potentials. And he thinks by doing this, he's giving the people of Flashpoint who had powers but don't have them in this timeline, he wants to give those powers back to them. So the first step was Edward Claris, aka the Rival, and he actually remembers his time as the Rival in the Flashpoint timeline. And he gets his speed back from Dr. Alchemy. Not sure how that happens though, but eventually he gets defeated and he's locked up later on, only for Dr. Alchemy to return somehow and punish Edward for his failure. Either punish and he's still alive, or punish by killing him. Not sure. All I saw was just this figure attacking Edward at the very end. Well, I guess we'll find out later. We also get a visit from Jay Garrick from Earth 3, aka the Flash, aka Henry Allen's doppelganger, and he convinces Barry, to stop changing the timeline, since every time he does it, he breaks off a piece of it, so like he can't actually fully change it back to what it was previously. Now, Jay Garrick has apparently been keeping an eye on Barry since he found out from Dr. Wells about how Barry had lost Nora, and then lost Henry, and then how Jay is a doppelganger of Henry, and then how Zoom took everything, and how there was a huge chance he might go change the timeline. So he's been trying to keep an eye on Barry, and try to get him to see reason. So we got a little bit of that, which I thought was pretty cool. So there's that. So moving on, what was the most shocking moment of the episode for me? It has to be the fact that Barry couldn't change the timeline again. I mean, really, if you went back enough times, I think he could have gotten it. I think he really had to go back to the point where he had to stop his Season 2 version self from going in there to stop the Reverse Flash. I think if he just stopped that Barry, then he would have probably reset the timeline properly. But apparently he can't try again. So there's that. But moving on, what was my top 3 favorite moments of the episode? First one has to be Barry turning to Felicity Smoke when he needed someone to talk to. I actually like the whole format of the beginning of the episode where he's talking to her, really trying to figure things out through her, and he's telling the story while we see it as the audience happening on screen, and then cutting back to them in the Arrow Cave trying to figure things out and everything. So I really liked that. I also liked how we got to see a bit of what might have changed in the Arrowverse, and that was through the little tidbit about John Diggle having a son, not a daughter. So there is that. Second favorite moment has to be, for me, Barry and Julian. First time we get to see the 2 of them together. And I just really like the tension between the 2 of them. As we all know, not everybody's going to like you at work. And it shows this very fact between Julian. But it's just the dynamic between the 2. It's just funny. Barry's trying to restrain himself for obvious reasons, and yet Julian's just like, yeah, no, I don't need your help. I definitely don't want you here. I don't need you here. I can do this on my own type thing. So it was pretty funny, and it was just very weird having someone tell Barry that I got the impression that Julian just thought Barry wasn't good enough to be his partner, and it's just brushing him off, and you don't really see that because Barry's usually top notch in like every aspect, and just being in a position where he's not, it was kind of interesting. So that's kind of why I liked it. So there's that. Third favorite moment has to be Caitlin and Cisco getting more powers. More so in the fact that Cisco, I really liked, we got to see more his powers have progressed a lot more. Don't know if that's because of the time or if it's just because he's in another timeline and he had his powers further along in this timeline than he did in timeline number 1. Not sure about that though. Maybe we'll find out. Who knows? And then for Caitlin, it's great to see that she is now getting the Killer Frost powers, but hopefully we won't get her being the Killer Frost persona we saw from Earth 2. So it's kind of a little mix of that. Maybe there is a good version of Killer Frost. Don't know. Again, haven't read the comics. So it was great to see that at least we opened up the avenue, and it'll be interesting to see how she copes with that. Moving on though, top 3 peeve moments. I actually have 3. First one is the fact that Edward Claris, aka the rival, he ended up being faster than Barry, which I completely do not understand, since in this timeline number 3, he did not have his speed. And then all of a sudden Dr. Alchemy gives him this speed, and then now he's faster than Barry. How the hell is that supposed to happen? I mean, it took time for Barry to get up to how fast he's going. It took him 2 and a bit worth of seasons, 2.5 years to get up to the speed that he has. And then Edward Claris doesn't have speed. Suddenly he does have speed, and now he's suddenly faster than Barry. That really pissed me off because it just doesn't make any sense how that is possible. There's a timer. So yeah, there's that. Which moves on to my second point I didn't like. Dr. Alchemy giving Edward Claris his speed. It's like, how is it even possible for Dr. Alchemy to give someone powers? Doesn't make sense. Don't know how it's possible. He'd have to be someone that's magical or someone who's not even a regular human being in order to do that. Unless he somehow figures out how he could recreate the particle accelerator explosion and contain it to one person and then have that person get a specific power. Like, I don't know. Again, haven't read the comics. Don't know how they explain it in that, though. It's just that with this episode, introducing that and it showing that he can do something like that, it doesn't make sense. I don't like it. It'll be interesting to see how they explain how it's possible for him to do that, but until they explain that, I'm not going to like the fact that he can just give people powers and be done with it. That's like, no. Especially with what we know is possibly capable in the Arrowverse that we've seen, but yeah. And the third peeve moment I have was the fact that we did not learn enough about what the changes were on the Arrowverse. We only knew about what the changes were with Diggle, but I wanted to know what the changes were with Felicity. Is it possible that her new boyfriend that was revealed in 501 is a result of the new timeline? Is it possible that in this new timeline, her and Oliver are still in a relationship? Is it possible that in this new timeline, Oliver doesn't even have a son, which is why they never broke up to begin with? Or it's like, I don't know. Or is it possible that Laurel's alive or not? Is it possible that Tommy is still alive or not? Maybe. I don't know. It's like, you never know with... I mean, Diggle having a son instead of a daughter is a pretty big difference, and yet it happened. Don't know why that piece of information changed for Diggle, but there you go. But yeah, moving on, what was the moment that, or what will I remember most when I look back on this episode? The fact that Barry is trying to adjust to all the different changes that we see because of timeline number 3. So there is that, and the fact Paradox is a huge example of that. But moving on, random questions. First one, we all met Diggle's son, aka Connor Hawke, in 2046 back on Legends of Tomorrow, episode 106. And we assume that it was his second child that Connor was, or at least I assume, because he had first child being Sarah at that point. But what if Connor Hawke was the son that Barry just saw in the photo as Diggle's only child? I mean, if that's the case, does that mean when they went into the future, they already knew that the timeline had been changed? It's just, I don't even know. My head's hurting at that idea. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Next question, though. Haven't read the comics. I've said it before already, but how could Dr. Alchemy give people powers as if they were affected by the particle accelerator explosion the first time? I mean, would Dr. Alchemy have to be some sort of magic person like John Constantine or Damien Dark or Ra's al Ghul, or is it something else? that we don't know about. Because we got to remember that the Thanagarians are also a part of this universe as well, which are alien life forms apparently. And then we also have to take apart that all the mythology from the Supergirl is also kind of being incorporated, since they're having that Earth as being part of the multiverse in this verse. So it's so many questions. I have no clue. Please, if you have an answer, direct me to the correct way to look in comments down below. And last thing, predictions. Not really a lot though, but based off the promo for 303, it looks like we'll see Dr. Wells and Jessie from Earth 2 again, and it looks like Jessie is a speedster. And going by Jessie Quick, I believe is her name, but according to the synopsis, which probably gives away too much, it reads, Barry and Team Flash are thrilled to reunite with Earth 2 Wells and Jessie. Wells confides to Barry and Caitlin that Jessie has all the powers of a speedster and has been saving people on his Earth. Yay, Jessie. He is concerned, however, about her safety and wants them to talk her out of using her powers. Meanwhile, Magenta, a new meta who can control metal, terrorizes the city. Already enough, that synopsis kind of gives away what we're dealing with. But based off of that, already Jessie being a speedster, we're going to see her train with Barry. But after what we learned in this episode, I think, or I predict in the future, that Julian Albert is going to discover that Barry is the Flash. Once he finds out about that, will he trust Barry? That's the question. But I really thought in this episode he was very close to piecing together how he knew about Edward Claris's name before being told about it by Julian. So I thought in that moment he kind of had that eureka moment, and I really thought maybe he figured it out, but then he just says that there's something off about you, I don't trust you type thing. But anyways, predict also that Caitlin is going to tell the team about her new ice cold touch. Don't know when, don't know how. Will she ever? Or maybe someone stumbles upon it. Who knows? Hopefully she doesn't keep it from them very long. So I really don't want Caitlin to turn into Killer Frost. I don't need her to go dark side for that. Although she did good masquerading as her. I will say that. But lastly, Dr. Alchemy getting to Wally and turning him into a speedster again, and him becoming Kid Flash is what I think will be possible. Then again, we have to ask the question, how is it possible that Dr. Alchemy would know who in Flashpoint had powers and who to give it to them now? Because apparently only speedsters would get those remnants of time, and I would assume Cisco as well, since he has those vibe visions. So there's that question as well. How does Dr. Alchemy know who to attack in order to give their potential back to them? So there's that. And that's about it, guys. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Also, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that will be down below. Follow me there. Also, check out my WordPress. Everything is connected to my WordPress. So follow me there, or follow me through something else that gets you to there. I don't know. But for my Tumblr, I'm going to try to reblog and keep things up to date like I did before. So be on the lookout for that. I might be more restrained in what and how much I reblog, but the usual, the reblogging of promos, synopses, sneak peeks, quotes, GIFs, like that should still be up. So there's that. And that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, this is Mel wishing you a great day, great week, wherever you are. Till then, bye guys.